Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. It's Wednesday, June the 29th. I got that right. That's a triumph already. And I'm joined today, I'm Tony Haggerty, as you know, Haggerty Twitter handle. And I'm joined today by Alison McConnell. How are you, Alison?
Very good, thanks, you.
Yes, indeed. All very well here, yeah. And Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. Now, we'll do the housekeeping first.
No asking how I am, Tony, no?
Oh, no. Well, I just took it that you were all right because you were... Sorry, Sean. How are you?
I'm all right.
Well, there you go. I think it was right. Well, we'll do the housekeeping as usual. Our sponsors, OneFootball. Download the OneFootball app, guys. The link's in the description. As you say every day, it's a one-stop football shop for scores, news, lineups, transfer rumours, live streaming and match highlights, and much, much more. You can immerse yourself in the digital football world and have the best digital football experience out there. That's the OneFootball app, guys, and we thank them for their sponsorship. And as you can see, trailing along the bottom, it's the free 30-day trial. You can have a free 30-day trial on us. You know what to do by now. Hit that subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, we may as well address it. It's becoming the white elephant in the room. Sean, it's the daily Jota. I'm just going to ask you a straight question. Is it odd that the Jota deal is taking so long? More counter rumours and social media rumours running wild last night. What's your thoughts on it, Sean? Sean, you're muted. Sean, I think you're muted.
That's all right. I muted myself to cough there. I'm going to take this right slow because I noticed a comment yesterday saying they can't watch this back at 1.5 speed because I talk too fast. So, no, is it a bit odd? I probably, but mostly because of the intense scrutiny that the whole affair is rightly getting. I mean, if you think about it critically rather than emotionally, what do we know? Celtic decided to meet the fee in the loan agreement a while back. There have been talks ongoing for a while. Contracts are never as straightforward as Football Manager makes it seem. Allison makes that point every week. On top of that, Jota's been enjoying his extended summer break with no international commitments. During that break, he's been clocked in various pieces of Celtic clobber. Wasn't pictured at Benfica's return for pre-season either. Now, you take all of those, I do anyway, I take all of those as positive signs, or at the very least not negative ones.
Yeah. Alison, same question to yourself. You've always maintained that Jota is assessing his options and it's his prerogative to do so. And I'm going to ask you, you'll stand by that. And do you think it's odd that it's taken so long?
I'm not sure if I think it's odd. I think sometimes deals can drag on a bit. I think sometimes the small print and the complexities of deals can take a bit of time. But I would qualify that by saying I'm a little bit cynical. I do wonder if the noise around Jota, if his popularity among the Celtic support and the clamour to get him to re-sign has maybe strengthened his hand. If he maybe has someone whispering in his ear that he could get more money. And I do wonder if maybe the parameters of the deal that were agreed have maybe moved a little bit. If maybe the finances have changed when he's seen how strong his hand is, given the urgency with which the club support have really pushed for his re-signing. And I will stress that that's an opinion and nothing more than an opinion. I have no idea if that's the case. I'm just looking at it from the outside in, and as a very cynical journalist who's done this for a while. But that would be a suspicion of mine, but I can't say that it's based in any reality other than genuinely an opinion.
Now the Retro Celtic comes in and says Jota is coming, the Portuguese record stating it's Friday.
Aye, it has, Tony, aye. That's the latest. That's the latest report from Record in Portugal suggesting it's almost done on a 4-year deal, I think they said. It's unlikely to get anyone too excited because it's been almost done for about 3 years at this stage. But
He's only got a year left in his contract.
For me, to say that it's dragging out, though, is all relative. For me, if this were a season where Celtic had Champions League qualifiers looming on the horizon in the first week or so in July, like it's been before, then yes, maybe I'd say it's worth a bit of stress. But just now, a couple of days into a 4-week-long pre-season, before the players will have even packed their cases for Austria, just because we've all kind of implicitly put our own mental timelines on it, doesn't mean a damn thing, really. So I'm not there. I'm not there yet in terms of stressing, no.
Alison, have Celtic been in this movie before? 2 words spring to mind. Eddie Howe fans are getting their hair on fire about stuff like that and saying bumped by that deal.
Yeah, I think it's very different. I would have to say, I think circumstances are very different around that. I'm not sure that that's a fair comparison or not. I think sometimes deals can take a long time. I think there can be a fair bit of to and fro between both clubs and then between club and player, just depending on sell-on clauses and everything that goes on round about it. But I do think I'll go back to a point that we made a few weeks ago. I think it comes to a point where if it's not done, you maybe have to say, is it likely that it's coming across the line? And if not, where do we go next?
Sean, Friday seems to be a day where I think Friday's the 1st of July. People are putting two and two together and saying contracts end or the loan deal expires on the 30th of June. Do you place much stock or faith in that?
I do and I don't, because I think most people forget that most contracts do end at the end of June and not the start of May or the end of the season, because it seems to be player X is gone because the season's finished a lot. And yeah, 30th of June is a big date because of contracts ending. 1st of July is when you can officially register players with FIFA again for the next season kind of thing. So I do think there is something to that, whether it's something to it for Jota or even Alexandro Bernabei. I don't know. There's a few comments coming in talking about the 30th of June and the fact that the loan deal will technically end on the 30th of June. I asked the question, we weren't 100% sure. We thought it probably wouldn't make an impact on the fee being agreed. I felt it was a fair question to ask off air to the two of you. Just, was there any chance that the fee would elapse, the agreed fee would elapse if the loan deal finished without it being completed? As far as I'm aware, the two of you don't think that is the case. Is that right?
Yeah. I think once the fee's agreed, then that's set in stone.
You're in the negotiations, yeah.
You know, Max Stark coming in again and saying record reporting he's close to signing a 4-year deal. So
again, that's the Portuguese record there.
The Portuguese record. As you said, he's been signing a 4-year deal for a long time, so he'll be on borrowed time by the time he comes to Celtic then, obviously.
I did think it was interesting that when you saw the Benfica squad back for pre-season that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think was it a music festival or something as well.
Ringing
out the last of the islands and places he's not visited this summer. Just clocking up a music festival, which I think the fact that he's clearly so relaxed about it is interesting. You know, he's not in any rush to get it done. You know, he's been fairly cool about it all, which I think is quite telling.
I think it's maybe indicative that he knows where his future lies, Allison, that he's been enjoying himself. No,
I think what it's indicative of is he knows how strong his hand is.
Yeah, true. But I don't see it as a player that's panicking, and I've not, to my knowledge, seen him linked with any other clubs. You know, and I agree with Kookaburra. Celtic will have a short list of alternatives should he not sign, but I would be more concerned if he was being linked right, left and centre with other clubs. The only deal that people are talking about is Jota to Celtic if and when that arises. Sean?
Yeah, I don't disagree. No, I don't disagree. Sorry, I was reading a comment there when you asked that.
Okay.
No, I think it's fair. I would kind of say that maybe the Bernabei deal's a wee bit odder because he has is odder a word? Because he's been apparently pictured at Glasgow Airport. I says to you, Tony, the other day, that could have been anywhere. I didn't recognise it at Glasgow Airport, but that is possibly a wee bit stranger. But as I say, I wonder if, because you can't officially register players with FIFA until July the 1st anyway, and with Bernabei, there's the suspension
hangover,
depending how many matches are left when he moves, etc. Again, I'm not overly stressed about that either, even if it is seemingly odd. I think because of the nature of the pre-season this year, there's less reason to get alarmed by the timelines of stuff.
I'm certainly not alarmed, and it will all come out in the fullness of time. If he's not going to sign, then Celtic will have to issue some sort of statement And if he is signing, then they'll parade him. I mean, it's as simple and straightforward as that, isn't it, Alison?
Yeah, I think it's been protracted. Let's just put it that way. I think
a great journalistic word there.
I think when it gets over the line, and I think you would still probably back the signing to reach fruition at this stage. Yeah. I think the nature of the last few weeks just might mean it's a kind of anticlimax almost, given just all the wrangling that's taken place. But yeah, I would agree with Sean about the Bernabei one. That I think that seemed on Friday afternoon to be within touching distance. And yeah, again, you go back to sometimes the complexities around deals and the timing of when players can be registered and maybe some of the red tape that comes. Yep. South American player coming in and all the bureaucracy that might be around it. But I certainly think that overall, Celtic will be in a far stronger position again, the coming out of this window than when they went in it. And that's what you could say for every window since Ange Postecoglou's gone to the club. The summer window, the January window, last year, we spoke about it at length, 17 players came in. They increased in strength every time. I think without naming individuals, without knowing just now which personnel exactly will arrive, I think you can say that the impression you have already is that it will be a productive window.
Yeah. Now, Sean, someone possibly going out the door last night, social media went mental as well, was Christopher Jullien, who put up an Instagram picture of a flight, and seemingly Schalke, Rennes and Lorient are supposedly have been alerted to a situation and are wanting to try and seal some kind of deal. Christopher Jullien since pulled the picture down from his Instagram, but it was very cryptic, wasn't it?
Yes, deleted that Instagram post, or supposedly deleted it. I missed it getting up in the first place, to be honest. But I mean, we've take it generally. We've spoken about the Jullien case before, and my take was, as you know, don't let him go until at least Cameron Carter-Vickers has been signed permanently. Now that he has been, you'd have to say it looks like it's Carter-Vickers and Carl Starfelt as the first choice, with Jullien and Stephen Welsh as the main backups, and then the likes of Boston Lowell to draft in if necessary. Truthfully, it still leaves me a wee bit wary if he goes in terms of depth. You can argue, well, he was a non-factor last season, and yeah, that's true. But going into this one, I thought maybe Stephen Welsh could be in line for some first team minutes on loan elsewhere, and Jullien leaving decreases the likelihood of that, while also probably adding another centre back to the transfer requirements, you'd imagine.
Now, I remember saying at the time, Allison, that when Jullien had his wee outburst and Celtic were just on the cusp of winning the title, I thought it maybe not go down well with the manager. Now, I don't know, again, this is just my own opinion, but I just think that he wants players to be there and not ones that will maybe be a bad influence in the dressing room. I'm not saying Jullien is, but it's clearly not gone unnoticed by the manager, and if Jullien is trying to angle for a way out, then I'm not so sure the manager will be inclined to stand in his way if that's the case.
I think you could have interpreted that as of January, essentially. He came back in for a Scottish Cup game against Raith Rovers and then just disappeared. Often he wasn't even in the squad. He wasn't making the bench even when he was fit again. I thought that was quite intriguing. I thought his body language on the last day of the season, the day that the championship was handed out, was also interesting. And to be fair, I would appreciate that. If you've not played a part, if you've not contributed over the course of the campaign, you probably do feel a bit self-conscious about being on the pitch and part of the celebrations. But I thought his whole demeanour that day was very interesting, just taking a really slow walk round the perimeter of the pitch after everyone had gone, and he looked very pensive. And then I think when you saw him pictured in Celtic training gear and training on his own, you think, has there been a shift in mentality? Is he coming back ready to fight for his place? And I just wonder what conversations have taken place behind the scenes, if he knows he's behind an established front pairing now, and the likelihood of first team football is unlikely, given the fact that there's a settled defence in front of him, then I don't think you could begrudge him the opportunity to go and play football, given the age he's at and given the fact he's just missed 18 months of his career between the knee ligament damage and not being in the first team. I think I don't think you could point the finger at him for saying I need to go and play now. I'm at a stage where I need to be playing football. I think it has looked increasingly likely over the course of the last few months, and I don't think it would be a massive surprise if he was to go out. And it's interesting because this time a year ago, I take the point there. You look at this 12 months ago, and you do a straw poll amongst the Celtic sport, and you say who's the strongest centre back at the club. Who's the strongest centre back in the league? I think you could have argued at one point you would have been going for Jullien. So you can appreciate just where he might be and just where he might be in terms of confidence too. You've been injured, and all of a sudden, you're expecting to walk straight back in, and it doesn't materialise.
Sean, I'm all for players getting angry and upset at not playing. That's what you want, because that's what healthy competition for places in your squad. But there are ways and means of going about getting back into the team, and running and bleating to the media when everything was pretty rosy in the garden is something I don't think would have sat well with Ange. By all means, chap his door. But Ange made reference to him repeatedly, saying he'll get game time when I feel there's an opportunity to give him game time. He couldn't dislodge the pairing of Carter Vickers and Starfelt, who did so well. Conceded a small number of goals in the whole league campaign. So, you either come back and go for it, or, and as Alison said there, pointing out his body language and stuff, he did look a bit detached from it all, didn't he? And if that's the way you feel, then so be it. That I don't question your right to try and get first-team football elsewhere.
I think, given Ange Postecoglou's numerous times says it encourages his players to speak their minds, I don't think he could be too upset when one actually spoke their mind and he just maybe never liked it. The timing of what he said, more than anything else, was probably the contentious part. Because what he said, I don't think it was particularly outlandish or anything. He was a footballer that wants to play, like shock horror. But it's just not really worked out from that when he came back from injury. I not only wrote an article discussing it at the start of last season about the need for consistency at centre back, but once he got it, Ange Postecoglou, like as he said, wouldn't really change it. It's the one area of his team he would rather not rotate if he can avoid it. I think Jullien and Stephen Welsh suffered from that at the tail end of the season, or the second half of the season, especially with Carl Starfelt finding form that he probably wasn't, or arguably wasn't, reaching in the first half of the season. I think it's just been the way that it played out for him. Given the ways that he's on, Jullien, the experience he's got, the age he's at, I'm not surprised he's maybe looking towards the exit, and it's looking as if that might be the case. I obviously says to you, keep him until at least Carter Vickers signed. Carter Vickers has signed. The only concern after that for me is what the impact would be on Stephen Welsh and what other centre-back would be recruited.
Sure. I agree. I still think we need another centre-back if they let Jullien leave out the door, to be honest with him. We still don't know how he's going to shape up after his injury, Allison, because, as you say, he's only played that cameo role against Raith Rovers. So we still don't know what he's going to be like 18 months after his injury.
Yeah, I think he'll need a bit of time to get up to speed. I think, without question, he's missed 18 months of his career. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And even if you recall, he was actually, I'm sure he'd had a kind of difficult few months even before he got that knee ligament injury. He'd been kind of in and out. So, yeah, I think he'll be rusty. He'll need a strong pre-season, and he'll need game time to get back up to speed wherever it is that he's going.
Paul Byrne comes in and says surprise Scales was allowed to leave if Jullien was heading off. Let's hope Celtic have got their eyes on a centre-back. Sean, Liam Scales is another one. Now, Aberdeen have been asking about how much it would be to make that move permanent. We spoke the other day and we said that the loan move with no option to buy was the right thing to see if Scales can come back and make a contribution to Celtic. I'd still hang fire on that. I wouldn't be encouraging Aberdeen at all in terms of naming a price for Scales. So I'd still like to see if he has what it takes to be a first team member at Celtic. Michael McDonald, their Scales will shine at Aberdeen and will come good for Celtic eventually. I take it you're on the same boat as that let Scales go for a loan season and see what he's got.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much my thoughts when it was announced, or when it was even being linked. It was late last night, actually. It was about back at 10, half 10 last night. A former colleague of mine, actually, up at the Evening Express in Aberdeen, Sean Wallace, said he's on pre-season with the Dons in Spain. He confirmed when speaking to Jim Goodwin that Aberdeen had already asked what price it would be to take him permanently. Celtic said they weren't willing to discuss that. But Jim Goodwin said, regardless, that the Dons intend to kind of test that resolve in January if Scales does as well as he expects him to. But that's kind of a catch-22 then for Jim Goodwin, isn't it? I mean, if Scales excels, he's obviously going to want to keep him. But if he excels almost too much in a way, then it increases the likelihood that he'll be given a chance back at Celtic and they won't entertain an offer at all. So either way, as I said, when it was confirmed, I'll be interested to keep an eye on Scales, and particularly where he plays in terms of role and the way that he plays it.
You just nailed it there, Alison. If he does perform, then his price goes up.
Yeah, exactly. If he performs well and he's clearly a part of the first team picture and they want to keep him and he's had a really strong 6 months, and you get to January and you could be adding a significant figure onto what might be there just now. So you can see Aberdeen's perspective, why they would want to, why it would make sense from them to have a fee discussed and in place just now, similarly to what Celtic done with Jota last season. It makes sense.
Well, that's been the Celtic Way morning briefing on Wednesday. We'll call it a halt there. Sean, thanks for your contribution. First class as always. Same with yourself, Alison. Excellent. I will just direct you to our sponsor, OneFootball. Get downloading the app, guys. You know what to do. The link's in the description. And subscribe for 30 days, free quality content covering the club that you love. Join us, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Have a wonderful Wednesday. I'm glad I get my days right, because sometimes I get mixed up, But there you have it. Sean, Alison, thanks for the comments as well, guys. Always appreciate it. We try and need as many out and get engagement going. And we'll do it all again tomorrow, Sean.
Yep. See you then. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.